Welcome to my channel, and this is English Podcast.
In the first part of the conversation you're going to listen to, the subject is swearing. Listen and answer these questions. Do they think British people swear a lot? Do they think American people swear a lot?
So I want to see what you two think about things which are controversial. So things that people can't agree on. So I'm going to give you a list of things, and then we'll see which things we think are the most controversial.
Okay.
Okay. So let's get started with something that everybody does now and again: swearing. Bad language.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? You need some bad language.
Yeah. Fucking awesome. No, seriously, I think it's very expressive, swearing, and I don't mind it at all. There are certain words that shouldn't be perhaps used too frequently. But
I think the occasion as well. I mean, you can't be effing and blinding like in daily conversation, but like you say, it can just make that little extra emphasis on a point and hammer it home. But if you're a serial offender with swearing, it means nothing after a while and it sounds uncouth.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I don't think it is very controversial at all anymore. If you sit on a bus in England almost probably one in
shocking.
4 words is a swear word.
now,
And it's on the TV the whole time. I mean, you're not allowed to swear before 9 o'clock, but, you know...
Really? That's before 9 o'clock?
Before 9 o'clock
after
you're not allowed to swear.
That's
after 9 o'clock.
In the evening?
In the evening,
Sorry,
yes. You can swear.
it wouldn't work in Spain because they do that because the children are in bed, but in Spain they go to bed at like 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't think it is that controversial anymore. People just swear.
No, there's one word
general.
that's controversial, the one beginning with C, which we're not even going to use because it's too rude.
Yes.
Yeah, no. But the Spanish use the equivalent word with quite liberal doses.
Freely,
Freely. It's ridiculous. But that said, I don't know, the Americans don't swear as much. Or like the American, I don't know, I guess maybe it's the middle class population and above. I was told once that I had a mouth like a sailor when I lived in Ecuador. Well, these were Canadians actually, but they were quite saintly Canadians.
Mouth like a sailor.
Yeah.
I've been called a potty mouth.
A potty mouth?
Potty mouth.
Oh,
before.
potty or party?
Potty. Potty.
Never
as
heard
in
that.
the thing that small children go to the toilet on. So if you swear too much, Americans sometimes will call you potty mouth.
That's really offensive, isn't it? God, did you feel upset
No,
for days?
So swearing, controversial, very controversial a little bit.
You just wouldn't use the C word with your girlfriend's parents.
Yeah. But you know, in business meetings you wouldn't. In general daily conversation with your friends, get in.
Listening task 1. Answers. Do they think British people swear a lot? Yes. Do they think American people swear a lot? Not really, and not as much as the British. Essential vocabulary. There are 2 ways to describe the punishment for a crime with death. Do you know what they are? We can call this either the death penalty or capital punishment. The death penalty. Capital punishment. This is the topic of the next listening task. Listening task 2. Do any of the speakers strongly agree with the death penalty?
Okay, something a bit more meaty now. Capital punishment. Controversial?
Definitely.
Well, firstly, do you agree with it?
No, I don't. It's back to that eye for an eye thing. I think it's it's too extreme, and there's always that situation where you might be wrong, and I don't know. I think the whole thing is harrowing for all concerned. When if you take the situation in America where it still goes on in 2 or 3 states, I think if not more. I mean,
It's still very controversial there, isn't it? I mean,
it's controversial, but they seem gung-ho for it in those particular states. It's a bit strange. I find the whole thing not very humane.
No, me neither. I definitely don't believe in it, and I think it is a very controversial issue because people are generally either very strongly in favour of it or completely against it.
And they talked about recently in France reinstating the death penalty because of sort of terrorist attacks and with really, really terrible attacks.
Con la guillotine.
Yeah, but yeah, for things like, you know, if somebody's gone around like this guy recently that's just gone and shot loads of children in a school, it's like, well, you know, should there be exceptions made, you know, for really, really terrible crimes?
But who
like
decides and who judges, you know? It's like, at what point is it a really terrible crime?
I think crimes against children really are a slightly different category, perhaps. You know, murder or sexual crimes against children is, well, not...
But where does psychological illness come into all of this as well? Mental illness.
And what defines a child, you know, if... It's not always that clear, you know, you can murder someone who's 15, does that mean you get the death penalty? If you murder someone who's 16, you don't? It's a very tricky area.
Controversial.
Indeed.
Listening task 2. Answers. Do any of the speakers strongly agree with the death penalty? No. Listening task 3. The next topic being discussed is homosexuality. Listen and then give 2 examples where they say homosexuality is still controversial.
So another subject that's possibly less controversial than it was, homosexuality. To what extent do you think that that's a controversial topic in today's society?
Only with the Roman Catholics, perhaps. I don't know. The Pope came out and said something recently against it again.
Did he?
I can't remember what, but it was...
Don't do it.
Oh, it was unholy and immoral or something, you know, along those lines, I think, which is very out of touch with
Society.
modern society.
I mean, living in Barcelona, I mean, you see homosexual couples freely, daily, I was going to say, around the city. And same in any of the major cities. Even in Quito, in Ecuador, you know, I'm starting to see homosexual couples. So, I mean, I think society's far more accepting of it now. And
I mean, it is controversial has been controversial in the armed services. They still, I think, have been debating this in the US recently about whether gay people are suitable for frontline combat and, you know, being right in the middle of the action.
Well, so I have a friend who works on an oil rig, so he has had a few issues with his homosexuality, working in a confined space with lots of men that actually he really doesn't like that much. But having to be there and being around what is the normal male banter, so for him it's been like a prison sentence almost. He just has to, like, you know, think of the money at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that's changed incredibly rapidly in most countries. I mean, obviously in some countries it's still punishable by death. But
I mean, it's what they've been doing in is it Iran or Iraq, where they've been stoning these young boys to death for dressing in the emo style. Is it emo?
Yes.
You know, where they look slightly effeminate style, and they've killed, I don't know, lots, dozens of these people, and they've just been taking them off and stoning them for immorality because they're dressing slightly effeminate, potentially androgynous or homosexual way, and they've just been killing them, stoning them, sending their bodies back to the family, and that's it.
That's probably a good reason why I don't read the news too often. It's not particularly cheery, is it?
No. But it's obviously controversial in some cultures more than others, I think.
Yeah. And I think has become much less so.
Certainly in San Francisco, I don't think it's particularly controversial. I think it's actually the norm, isn't it?
Listening task 3. Answers. So, where do they say homosexuality is still controversial? You could have had any of the following: in the Roman Catholic Church, in the American Armed Services or Iran? Listening task 4. Now you're going to hear about nudity or not wearing any clothes. Here are your questions. Is nudity more or less acceptable in Britain compared to Spain? What reason is given for this?
Okay, this one might be slightly different, I think, between, for example, the UK and Spain. Nudity.
Well, there's a lot of it in Spain. Certainly there's that guy that wanders around Las Ramblas with his penis tattooed like an elephant's trunk. I don't know if you've seen him.
And it's the size of an elephant's trunk as well. It's
No.
The fact that you can have your penis tattooed as an elephant's trunk.
Is he the guy that's on a bicycle?
He might ride a bicycle on his off days, I don't know.
Because I saw this hilarious scene at Jalmay, the metro station, where this guy came past on a bicycle with his
Tackle.
tackle out, pack it out, and he's got a giant ring through his penis, and he cycled past, and a very, very, very enormous cock, and he cycled past a whole group of Japanese tourists, and all of them, I mean literally, no, they were all like and then just giggled and
I'm
laughed
not
for like the next
surprised.
10 minutes, and they all like, because I mean it's just, you know, it was A, the boldness of doing it, but B, the size of his penis. Just enormous. So yeah, they have different attitudes here, and everybody just accepts it. And all
Yeah,
the beaches, lots of nudity.
I mean, if you rode around on a bicycle or walked down the road with that bit of your anatomy out in England, you would be arrested.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
I think in England though, it's more acceptable here because of the climate.
Yeah.
Because in England, if you take your clothes off and stand out in the cold and the rain, there's something strange about it.
Of course.
But if you're on a hot beach here and you take your clothes off, it's natural because it's a hot beach.
Yeah. It's, I mean, obviously, again, so many of these things are just cultural, because I can remember in Thailand going to a lake with a friend, and she decided to sunbathe topless, and the Thai friend who I was with just did not know what to do. She just could not cope, because, you know, Thais, if they go swimming in a lake or the sea, they'll wear shorts and t-shirt or jeans and t-shirt. You know, you don't show flesh, whereas in this particular person's culture, nudity is perfectly acceptable, not controversial at all.
I was with the same friend when she got served a ban from ever visiting a hotel again for the same reason.
Really?
Sunbathing topless, and absolutely don't ever come back, never come back here.
Wow. I mean, in Ecuador, the beaches there, I mean, you never saw topless people there, and they had the same thing, especially the families that live on the coast. I mean, they'll wear jeans and t-shirts, and part of that is to protect themselves from the sun. Whereas the reverse is true here. It's like, no, we're sun worshippers. And so when I first came to Barcelona and went to the beach for the first time, where do you look? Incredible.
Andalusia as well is quite
different.
interesting in the summer. I mean, free flowing.
Free flowing.
Listening task 4. Answers. Is nudity more or less acceptable in Britain compared to Spain? Less acceptable. What reason is given for this? The fact that in England, taking your clothes off in the cold weather would be strange. Listening task 5. Listen to the final part of the conversation. Which 4 topics are discussed?
And the final one on my list is sex before marriage.
Yes, why not?
Definitely not controversial for you, Stuart.
No, not at all. It's for the Catholic Church then, and certainly in Ecuador saw a lot of kind of issues there with the obvious sexual urges that 15, 16, 17-year-old teenagers are getting, and the stigma attached with the Catholic Church, the lack of somewhere to go. So there are often vehicles parked down lanes in the evening, and there are lots of strip bars and motels there. in like really random places in the middle of nowhere. So quite clearly there's a need for people to express their sexual interest. And one of the problems was actually the sex before marriage would be what led to the marriage that would then have its difficulties, because this quite often would be the first adventures for some of the kids involved. So I actually went to a wedding of a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Wow.
And it was their baptism of their kid on the same occasion as well.
Right.
Yes.
Very young.
And in fact, there were 2 weddings and a baptism going on at the same time. It was quite clever. The priest was, managing.
Yeah, I think you've just led on to the next point, which is I think it's fine, not controversial, but I think what is controversial is prohibiting the use of contraception. Because a 15 or a 16-year-old is often going to end up having sex, and does in many cultures, and there's nothing you can do about that, and therefore you need to allow them to be able to prevent pregnancy. Otherwise,
not to mention
diseases. I mean, I think it's I mean, it's probably controversial me saying this, but I think it's almost against human rights to actually prohibit people through religion using contraception.
I agree. We're all being very controversial now. But apart from the ones that we've talked about, because all of those things we've talked about were probably much more controversial 20 years ago even. Definitely. Certainly 30 or 40 years ago. So what's controversial? I mean, is there anything really controversial left? What do you see as controversial nowadays?
Immigration laws. Causing a lot of focus in this crisis. Blame the Arabs, blame the Africans, blame everyone except ourselves for the current problem we're in. And it becomes a hot topic in the newspapers, in the news. Actually,
that's... As soon as you said that, I thought, that is exactly the most... Certainly in England, that's the most controversial thing. If you pick up a newspaper any day of the week, there'll be something about immigration. And people are very opinionated on it.
I think health and obesity as well is becoming quite a big issue as well. Whether it's controversial, I don't know, but we are getting a larger population. Do you let people kill themselves through eating? With diabetes, type 2 diabetes, heart attacks, etc. People.
It comes down to what extent you.
So we prevent people.
On people.
Exactly. So we prevent people from shooting each other. That's illegal because it reduces life expectancy and amongst other things. But at what point do you need to take a hold of diet and say you have to be more responsible for your own benefit? Anything else?
All right, let's start with today's lesson. What did you do over the weekend?
I went to the park with my friends.
Oh, that sounds fun. What did you do there?
We played soccer for a while.
Soccer? How? Are you good at it?
Not really, but I try. My friends are much better than me.
That's okay. Did you score any goals?
No, but I came close once. I kicked the ball and it almost went in.
Almost. That's progress. How long did you guys play?
For about 2 hours. I think we got tired, so we stopped.
2 hours is a long time. What did you do after that?
We sat on the grass and talked for a while.
What did you talk about?
Just random things: school, movies, plans for the summer.
That's nice. Did you make any interesting plans?
Not really. Everyone just said they wanted to relax during the summer.
Relaxing is important. Did you have any snacks at the park?
Yeah, I brought some chips and one of my friends brought sandwiches.
Sounds like a proper picnic. Did you enjoy the food?
Yeah, the sandwiches were really good. My friend made them.
Homemade sandwiches are the best. What kind were they?
They were chicken sandwiches with lettuce and some kind of sauce.
That sounds delicious. Do you know how to make sandwiches like that?
Not really. I can make basic ones, like with cheese or peanut butter.
That's a good start. Cooking is a great skill to learn. Have you tried making anything else?
I've made instant noodles before. Does that count?
Of course. Everyone starts somewhere. Do you add anything special to your noodles?
Sometimes I add an egg or some vegetables if we have any.
That's great. Adding extra ingredients makes it healthier. Do you like cooking?
I think I would, but I don't do it often. My mom usually cooks.
You should try helping her. You might learn some recipes. Does she make your favorite food?
Yeah, she makes the best spaghetti. I always ask her to make it.
Spaghetti is a classic. Do you help her in the kitchen when she cooks?
Not really, but sometimes she asks me to chop vegetables.
That's a good start. Do you know any other dishes she makes?
She makes really good fried rice too. It's my second favorite.
Sounds like she's a great cook. Do you ever watch how she makes it?
Sometimes, but it looks kind of complicated.
It might look hard, but with practice, it gets easier. Would you like to learn to cook someday?
Yeah, I think so. It'd be cool to make my own meals.
Absolutely. Cooking gives you a lot of independence. Maybe you can start with something simple.
Like what?
Maybe scrambled eggs or pancakes. They're easy and tasty.
Pancakes sound fun. I've never made them before.
You should try. You just need flour, eggs, milk, and a little sugar.
I'll ask my mom if I can try it this weekend.
That's a great idea. Let me know how it goes. Did you take any pictures at the park? By the way,
Oh, yeah. My friend took some on her phone.
did you take any yourself?
No, I forgot my phone at home.
Ah, that happens. What kind of pictures did your friend take?
Just us playing soccer and some selfies.
That's nice. Did she share them with everyone?
Yeah, she sent them in our group chat.
Do you like looking back at pictures like that?
Yeah, it's fun. They remind me of good times.
That's the best part of photos memories. So, overall, it sounds like you had a great weekend.